Welcome to Get Over It, the consciousness transforming podcast for exceptional 21st century living. Folks, we have a show today. It's very special. We're going to be talking about Soulflower, and it is a plant spirit oracle. And this book is going to, actually, they're cards with a little book attached, but you're going to learn about flowers and how they help us. And I'm going to pick 3 cards for the audience and see how you relate to them. We're going to be speaking with Lisa Estabrook. Now, the information shared on Get Over It uses intuitive and pragmatic insight to help you shift your consciousness to break through the blocks and release energy that is no longer needed. Yes, we're going to help you let go of the BS that is holding you back. But you guys know I always ask that question, are you truly ready to? And by the way, folks, BS is belief system. A bit about me for my new listeners, intuitive since birth. I'm a 3rd-generation intuitive with over 3 decades of experience supporting people to break through the blocks along their path. I'm a strategist for personal and professional transformation, revealing cutting-edge information that enables you to prosper and thrive. I spent 25 successful years in corporate America as an executive sales professional, and I am the founder of Healing Visions Ministries and the Northern California Children's Education Network, a 501c3 nonprofit. I provide consultations and healings in all areas of life that heal the mind, body, spirit connection, allowing you to live your very best life. My clients tell me that I keep it real while providing them with accurate information to assist them along their journey as a spirit living a human existence. But they also say, if you really don't want to know, don't ask Monique. My background includes a doctorate in metaphysics, Reiki master teacher, ordained minister, and clinical hypnotherapist. So whether you are stressed, depressed, or possessed, I can help. To find out more about me and the services I offer, go to my website, and that's moniquechapman.com, and I invite you to like me on Facebook and follow me on LinkedIn. And folks, I will be participating with the Wisdom of Reiki conference in Rhinebeck, New York at the Omega Institute, September 23rd to the 25th. If you're a Reiki practitioner and you're in the area and you want to connect with me, William Rand, others, I can't think of all their names right now. Stacy Gibbons is one. Do come by. The Omega Institute is a great place. It's a wonderful institute. They have other classes that they're offering at the same time, and you will be immersed in a weekend of Reiki. My guest today, Lisa Estabrook, is an artist, mother, way shower, author, home herbalist, and plant whisperer who has spent the last 30 years remembering how Plant Oracle Deck and the companion book, tending the garden of your soul, along with the daily practice journal. And you can check her out at her website, and that is mysoulflower.com. Welcome, Lisa.
Good morning. Nice to speak to you, Monique.
Hi, it's great. It's great to have you here. We're both a little excited this morning, and that's absolutely fine. So, talk to us. It seems like you must be an avid gardener since you wrote a book on soulflowers, huh?
I don't know that avid is a good enough word. I would say more like obsessive.
Okay, love it, love it, love it.
Yeah.
What piqued your interest early on before you discovered soulflower and all that? What piqued your interest early on in flowers and herbs?
Well, I think it was just that I felt so good when I was working in the gardens, when I was with the flowers. I mean, it was the place that I go to feel grounded, to feel,
Mhm.
connected.
Uh-huh.
And I would even, have terrible headaches, and I would be, have 3 young kids and whatever. I would go out in the gardens, and just for the time that I was out there working with the plants, I felt good. I felt present. It's that when you lose track of time. When you're in a
Mhm.
space of just deep presence, and that's really the way I related to nature and the plants for so very long time. And then finally I took their invitation, their insistent invitation to go deeper.
Well, it's always interesting. I love plants also. I have like,
Mm,
I don't know, 9 flower gardens out front and
mm,
7 in the back and plants all through the house. And I just love them when I am with the plants. And I don't like when I plan a garden. I really don't plan a, it's like I'll go to the store, I'll say, oh, I like that plant, bring them home, plant them and go. And people stop and they take pictures and they're like, oh wow, this is so beautiful. And it's like, I just planted some flowers, get over it.
Mhm.
But I found that I'm grounded when my hands are in the dirt and I let go of anything that is bothering me. And
Yeah.
should I be angry, I go out and I pull the weeds. Very
Mhm.
effective.
It is. It's very meditative. I have extensive gardens and I spend most of my time there, weeding
Mhm,
and it really is a practice of, it's a meditative practice. It's a practice of, being in with my breath and present. And
mhm.
it is very cathartic, as you say. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because either on your I think it's on your website, you have something as be present, be enough, be compassionate, be intentional, be connected, be perceptive, be understanding. And you said that the energy of being requires tending. So talk to us more about that because I think sometimes we forget that plants really equate to who we are, energetically, and we need tending, but we tend to overlook that. So talk to us about the energy of being.
Yeah. So I consider myself a complicated houseplant.
Okay.
I don't feel that I'm any different. I have a different physical body, of course, than the flowers, but I don't see myself really as much different from them in terms of the care that I need to give to myself. And, like most women and actually most humans, we are sort of raised to not be connected to our own bodies, not to listen to our own thoughts,
Mhm,
and to just sort of suppress the wisdom that our bodies provide us with. And so for me, the gardens have really taught me how to listen. That's where, I say I'm a plant whisperer, but I really feel it's
mhm,
more like a plant listener. And so to being for me is actually listening to what my body, my intuition, my ego mind, whatever it is, to be really present with what is actually happening in the now moment. Because oftentimes we find ourselves rehashing the past, or
mhm,
as a mother worrying a lot about
mhm.
the future. And honestly, you can't do anything about any of that. You really
True.
cannot. And so to me, being, and what the flowers teach me is to just to be with what is actually happening at the moment. And quite often what is happening at the moment is actually pretty pleasant. I've had my share of traumas and
Mhm,
difficult experiences, but it passes, right? It moves, and our
mhm,
minds kind of stick to it. So the flowers never, they don't judge themselves. They're just the trees, they're not like, oh my goodness, my branch is just sticking out in just such a terrible way, or this flower is not feeling so gorgeous, it's feeling a little
mhm,
spent, they don't judge themselves. They just are.
mhm,
And so that's, the overarching energy from all of nature, I feel, is just this deep, abiding love and unconditional love. And so as I've grown closer and closer to my flower and nature companions, I have been embodying more and more of those qualities. I have been bringing myself back into alignment with nature, with life, and kind of back into the fold, rather than, always in the past or the future, or trying to control it. Is
Yeah,
really
because the past you're not really going to change. The
right.
future you have truly no idea, and I'm an intuitive, but you truly
Right.
have no idea.
Of course.
And trying to control it, you can't. I mean,
You
you
can't
just
control it. Right.
yeah.
And that's,
So go
yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, and that's like Dandelion is on the front cover of my book and part of my
Mm-hmm.
deck. And she is probably my single biggest mentor and ally in this whole journey. And her soul quality is that of release and letting go. And it has meant many different things as I spiral and journey with these different flowers. But ultimately, it's just this human desire to be in control, or this illusion that we are in control of life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just she just shatters that over and over and over within me, and shows me how I try to control my life. I try to, make things safe. I try to make things, make the right choices, all these things.
Uh-huh.
And that really is an illusion. It really
Yeah,
is.
well, it's interesting. It's about going with the flow. And the dandelion is on the front cover, but every time I look at the cover of the book in the box for the deck, I get sunflower. I don't know
Mm.
why. It
Oh,
could be because soulflower, I don't know, but I just like sunflower. And
you're
for me,
right.
sunflower is great.
Yeah, and they're the same family. Dandelion and sunflower are in the same plant family. So they have a lot of the
Hmm.
same qualities, just this beautiful radiant light, this
Hmm.
radiant presence, very much about personal power and personal presence in the world.
Okay.
So they're both very similar. So and it's not uncommon.
Okay. Well, how do you communicate with the plant spirits?
Well, I communicate just like I would with a nonverbal child or a pet. I
Mm-hmm.
use my intuition. I guess I use my imagination. I use my creativity. I use
Mm-hmm.
my art skills. And ultimately, I communicate with the plants through the language of our hearts. It's a heart connection. It's not a verbal connection. I have, on occasion, had words and that really just pop up into my mind, as
Mm-hmm.
perhaps as a channeler of the plant spirits would. And for sure, the words that have come through for each of the cards that are there were certainly, well, I feel we're deeply the words of the plant spirit coming through me, through my heart. So
Mm-hmm.
it always comes through my lens, but I feel like it's my job to be grounded, be present, and to simply listen and allow. And they speak to me through my everyday waking consciousness. I don't go to an altered state. Sometimes I do, but I don't go to an altered state.
Mm-hmm.
I hold the intention
Mm-hmm.
that I am going to be connecting with the plant spirit. And then I allow the universe, the the unity field of consciousness with which we all play with, that
Mm-hmm.
we're all in. See, I allow that to present me with, messages, I guess,
Mhm.
synchronicities and
Mhm.
signs. And it's all about frequency and vibration. And I don't really understand it. I'm not a scientist, but what I find is that when I am holding the intention to connect with dandelion, which I said was sort of letting go and release, then everything in
Mhm.
my life, including my experiences, what I'm going through with other relationships, in my work, I will find that they are all relevant to that energy. It's all
Mm.
something that I have to work on in that moment. And it's astounding to me that I'll even see like posts in my social media feeds. I will overhear conversations. I will experience directly multiple different ways that energy is showing up in my life, to be embodied, to be understood, to be recognized, to be seen. It's like everything is a mirror, for us,
Mm.
for me to be aware of. And of course, we are all busy. We go through our lives and we get distracted. We have to make dinner. We've got
Mhm.
laundry, all those sorts of things, which kind of pull me out of that space of awareness and presence and being. But I oftentimes will, I'll put the plants on my altar. I'll put pictures of it all around my house. I'll go and visit it in real life as much as possible. And I have temporary tattoos on my website, which is a really wonderful way to,
Yeah, I thought they were fun.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's, and they're magic. I mean, this is what magic is bringing something abstract into our everyday waking consciousness, and that's the way I use them. So I'll wear a dandelion tattoo, and every time I see that tattoo, I'm reminded of my intention to connect with that plant spirit, and I know that everything that I'm experiencing is related. So then I just spend an awful lot of time, writing post-it notes and jotting down things in my phone, and just keeping a journal, and just being aware, like a scientist does, perhaps, collecting, or nature journaler, collecting all this information through. And I also work with the lunar cycles to help me with this, and I spend a good deal of time processing it and integrating it into my life, so that then, so the next, and then I move on to the next flower. So it's a really embodied process that I've been working on for, I don't know, 10 years now.
Oh, okay, well, fabulous. Talk to us, you said everything is a mirror. Talk to us about the plant life cycle, equating that to the human life cycle, because in the human life cycle, we're born, we grow up eventually, or we grow until as much as, universe or source says that we're supposed to grow. And then we leave Earth. But once we leave Earth, the soul goes on. And for me, when I look at a plant, especially if it's a seed, I'll plant the seed, I'll transfer the seedling, nourish it, and let it grow. But then at some point in time, it's going to make a transition, and then it's composted. So talk to us about the parallels of that.
Yeah, well, I think we go through this energetic cycle over and over and over again. I mean, I know we have one physical birth and one physical death, as do the flowers, but like you just said, it is composted. And then when it is composted, it provides nutritious soil for the next cycle of growth. So it's really about cycling and nature's cycles. It's a mirror of these cycles that we go through over and over and over again. We experience many births of ourselves as we grow, and we also experience many deaths of ourselves, or aspects of ourselves, as we grow. And so I think and it's interesting, because in our modern culture, we spend an awful lot of time in this growth part of the cycle, this perpetual summer, and we're having to do and go, and expand, and consume. We're always in this growth cycle, and we never really take the time, and nor do we address it on a cultural level, to allow for the death part, which is the part where we let go of the things that are no longer serving us, and compost it, so that when we are in another growth phase, we can access that wisdom that we have learned and apply it to the next cycle of growth. So most often when we stay in that growth phase, we're repeating over and over again patterns that, we may have outgrown, but we just haven't taken the time to integrate and let go. So we're in this perpetual summer. So to me, that's what all of nature, not just the flowers and plants. We have the seasons, the solar cycles, that are showing us the same pattern. And we have even in a day, shows us the same pattern. We have the sunrise, it's like a birth of a new day. And we have the growth to the fullness of the midday sun. And then we have the time in the evening to take stock of what happened during that day, and let it go. And then we rest.
Yes.
And we rest, and we sleep. And then we've started all over again. And so it's like, this is the cycles that nature and the flowers are always showing us, and encouraging us to start embodying in our own lives. We need more rest. We need more downtime. We need to come into a healthy relationship with death as the end of our physical lives, but also as a metaphorical letting go of aspects that we are ready to let go of. And it's painful, and it can be painful, and it's hard. And we as humanity like to avoid it.
Yeah, we do, but it's a part of being here. I mean, unless
It
you
is.
have figured out how to ascend, which not too many people have, you're going to leave Earth. Now, I want to keep my promise to the audience. I drew 3 cards, so I'd like to tell you them in aggregate, and then you talk about them individually. The first card I drew was
Camp,
Campanula.
mhm.
Is that how you say that? And then the second card,
Campanula or Campanula,
okay,
whatever.
okay. And then the second card was lavender, and the third card was periwinkle. So let's talk about the first card.
Campanula is alignment.
Hmm.
Do you have the card right there? Would you like to read the
Yeah,
message?
girl, gotta find the glasses, but let's see what I can see here without the glasses. It's a bringing in of the spirit of abundance from limited universal source, helping you align your thoughts, words, and actions with your true self, which
Mhm.
knows no limitations. And it's a beautiful pink, like bell-like flower with
Yeah, it is.
and it looks like stars at the end. So to me, when I drew it and I looked at that, I thought of the universe and nighttime and the mystery of the night, the wonder of the night, and how night can help you truly create if you're willing to, look at the energy. So tell us about, your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean I like that. I like listening to everybody's stories. There's nothing wrong. There's no wrong interpretation with the flowers, with the cards. And
Hmm.
to me, Campanula, it's around alignment, but that's the soul quality of our thoughts and our words and our actions. So quite often we're not in a space of alignment with those. We may be feeling one way and we say another thing, or we think something
Hmm.
else. And
Hmm.
when we're in that state of not non-alignment, it's hard for us to I think it's hard for us to manifest, to grow, to ascend, as you say, to,
Hmm.
in our own lives, because we're basically sending out a discordant energy into the universe. And those bells, it's kind of like little satellite dishes, as you see
Hmm.
in the sky, like little satellite dishes, and we each have our own vibration that we're sending out. And your heart is radiating at one, and your mind is radiating another one, and
Hmm.
what you're actually doing is something else. So I think it's really a call to connect in deeply with your heart. What is your heart asking you to do? Not what is something outside of you is asking you to do. What is your heart asking you to do? So we're
Hmm.
learning to listen to. And then, can we let go of, like you said, the BS, the stories
Hmm.
minds tell us about, what our hearts want, all that we
Hmm.
cannot, you're not good enough, all those things. And then what our words actually say. Are we actually speaking our truth? Are we actually speaking
Hmm.
our heart's truth? Because when we are speaking our heart's truth, that's when we can grow.
Okay. So the next card is lavender, which I have all over my property. I find it to be very protecting, purifying the energy. I have issues with a ghost in the backyard, and lavender is one of the plants that I have back there to help entertain them so they don't come in and entertain me. But it also helps with relieving stress, I have found. I mean, lavender essential oil, they say, spray it on your pillow when you want to go to sleep to have a deep, relaxing sleep. So tell us more about lavender.
Yeah, it's no mistake that lavender is like such a prevalent essential oil or an ingredient
Mm-hmm.
in our soaps and our laundries, detergents and everywhere around the world. I think I don't think that's an accident, because like you say, it is deeply restorative and deeply purifying energy. And it definitely uplifts your mind and body and helps you to de-stress and come into flow. Come into
Mm-hmm.
flow with life, rather than, and feeling inner peace and harmony, rather than kind of just all this agitation, which we are experiencing as a global community right now. So there's an affirmation that goes with lavender, which I feel is really important. And it's, I allow waves of peace and deep relaxation to wash over me, because, we're always, again, it's like kind of going back to that place of stress and doing all the time. And lavender is here in all of our lives and homes to help us to allow waves of peace.
Mm-hmm.
and relaxation, even if it's just for a moment, it's deeply restorative. So I
Yeah.
think that we all need lavender right now. We all need lots of lavender, and I'm pretty jealous that you get to have it outside year round.
Yes, I do. In fact, I need to go cut some of it back because it can
Right.
grow.
Beautiful, beautiful. It makes a delicious tea. And
Mhm.
I encourage everyone to be in relationship with lavender. And I have it outside, but of course we have snow on the ground for a good portion of the winter, and it takes a while to break dormancy in the spring. So I gather it
Mhm.
in for the winter and have tea and add it to my bath and just
Mhm.
allow it to relax me.
Yeah, well, that's even more purposeful because you have to pay attention to the seasons and,
Yeah,
adjust where I just put it out there and, well, we're in a drought right now, but outside of that, things drought.
right.
Now, the third flower card that I picked was periwinkle.
Mm.
And it's all about intertwining and all is well. That's what I like about that in your card. You say all is well, all is as it should be. So talk to us a
Mm.
little bit more about periwinkle and the beautiful soft blue coloring.
Yeah, it's a woodland plant. It's Vinca minor is the Latin name, and it grows all in the woods here around my home. It's got a ground cover, and it's a beautiful twining vine that sort of creeps along. And it a little story about it was actually the last card that I created for this deck.
Oh, okay.
And I wasn't intending to have periwinkle in the deck, but I was walking in the woods as I do most every day. And it was late winter, very early spring, and it was blooming maybe a month ahead of time. So it really caught my attention because it was flowering amongst the ice and snow.
Mm-hmm.
And so I began to work with it. And it really was this direct message that, I've gained a lot of wisdom. Through our stories and our experiences, we learn a lot. And her invitation for us is to not keep repeating the cycles or this repeating the same lessons and stories over and over and over again, and instead to kind of move to our edge of growth. And it's kind of an uncomfortable place, where it's like we have this choice to start something new, to try and bring a new pattern into our lives,
Mm-hmm.
try to
Mm-hmm.
new synapses in our brains, and not, it's easier to just fall into the same rut and of previous patterns. And so she brings you to that edge of your growth, and
Mm-hmm.
then you can take all of your life lessons, all of the things in the past, and utilize them to help you move forward with the wisdom gained, rather than just leaping back into the mush pit of repeating the same stuff over and over and over again. And I know that,
Mm-hmm.
many of us do that over and over again until the lesson is learned, or it's not even learned. It's like until it is seen and integrated, because we still will find ourselves experiencing same kind of stories or experiences. But when we have taken and when we have integrated the lessons learned
Mm-hmm.
and the wisdom that we have gained, we can navigate it, from a different
Mm-hmm.
perception. So that's really what that's about. So, which is a nice third card, that's
Yeah, it's
the whole
interesting how
three of
they,
them.
yeah, how they flowed all together.
Yeah,
Tell
beautiful.
Now tell us about your website. When we go to mysoulflower.com, I do know that you have a feature where people can draw a card a
Yeah,
day. So tell
yeah.
us about that and everything else on the site.
Yeah, so there's the free daily pick there, because I feel like that's the best way to build relationship with the flowers and yourself, is to spend some time every day with
Mm-hmm.
self-reflection. So, and I really just feel like the wisdom that I was able to tap into is universally available for all, and it just is. I'm just the messenger,
Mm-hmm.
and so I wanted it to be freely available to all. So you can go to my website, and I don't collect personal information. You can go and play with it. You can go and pick a card, and I run through how to do that on the website, and it gives you a message that you can sit with and reflect on and integrate into your day in some way.
Mm-hmm.
if you want to go deeper with each of these flowers, I share a Plant Spirit deep dive blog where I share my stories with these plant spirits and how they work through my everyday waking consciousness and my lived experiences, so that the wisdom is really, it's inner wisdom that comes from my lived experiences, which I feel is every bit as valuable as, a credentialed learning. So you can go in there and you can go as deep as you want, with these plant spirits. You can go into my deep dives, and then I have a lot of products, because we do all like physical tools, right, to help us. And I have coloring books and daily practice journals and the cards themselves to help us tend to ourselves. And that's really what it is. It's a gentle practice that I encourage, a daily tending, like you are watering the plants in your garden. You are giving yourself that same amount of energy and love and care, tender loving care, I say, from a place of, self-forgiveness and trust and love and compassion, and rather than wounded obligation. Like we're not here to fix ourselves. We're here to just love ourselves. And that's the message from the flowers and all of nature.
Okay, well, thanks so much. Our time is so much up, and I really appreciate having you on today. What pearl of wisdom would you like to leave with our audience?
What pearl of wisdom? Well, maybe from Dandelion, that, the invitation to come back into the flow of life, to come back into our rightful place in the web of life and with nature, and to not fear nature or something that needs to be controlled. And I guess just to find compassion for that person, for yourself.
Okay.
So, there you go.
Okay. Well, thank you. And thank you so much for being my guest today. I greatly appreciate it. And I appreciate the audience for listening to us. I am really honored to have your time and attention. And please remember that the most important choice that you can make is what you choose to make important. Consider making the masterful choice of discovering your soul flower. Abundant blessings, light and love to all. Agape.